The recent announcement for civilization beyond Earth inspired me to make this one shot. I've waited so long for someone to take another look at Alpha Centauri, and I'm psyched for what Firaxis comes up with. For now, though, enjoy the story. They were decades, years even, from finally destroying themselves. I could feel it in my bones. Everything I've seen of them so far only points to that conclusion. We found them 300 years ago, when an ancient librarian probe left in their system intercepted primitive radio transmissions. It was all standard procedure. The librarians, the race that came before the races of today, left behind so much for us to discover. One of the lesser-known assets we inherited from them was the probe network, a vast web of hibernating machines that stood watch over all worlds, sending alerts via FTL comms to the heart of the network when they confirmed that their world has birthed intelligent life. This heart was the library, a massive store of knowledge the librarians left floating in space. Everything they achieved, the foundations of the technology they mastered, was kept inside the library. Every advanced race owed their knowledge base to the library. It was the reason any one of them crawled off their home planets. The probe would also activate a data cache, one that was placed on the life-bearing world by the librarians. It contained the blueprints for an FTL ship and coordinates for the library. Should the new species prove capable of building and flying the ship, they would find the library and be accepted into the galactic community. This species was different. The probe sent the alert, but not the signal to the cache. We tried activating the cache manually, but to no avail. The radio of the new species didn't mention anything at all of a strange alien artifact. There was only one conclusion: there was no cache. To this day, nobody knows why this species was denied the chance to uplift itself. No species before was like this. Everyone was given the key to FTL travel. Was it something the ancestors of this species did to the librarians? Were they an experiment? Did the librarians get sloppy in setting up the network? We can't answer these questions. The librarians took the answers with them when the war disappeared. But we can act in what we believe to be their will. There was likely something that gave the librarians reason to trap this species in their system. So we decided to not make contact. Besides, we choose not to contact species that haven't reached the library yet, because they haven't proven they could handle our technology without destroying themselves or others. Handing these primitives who barely mastered radio, designs for our most devastating weapons was playing with fire. Upon deciding not to contact them, we capitalized. This was the only known species that didn't have a cache, didn't have a goal to work towards, or the means to get to it. They had zero support from the outside, totally cut off from the rest of the galaxy. To them, the librarians may as well have not existed. How would a species develop without the librarians to guide them? We started monitoring this species, seeing how they would change over the years. Nothing to mold them, to stay their hand. They were the biggest control group in the galaxy. What I saw, pointed towards their destruction. They tore resources out of their planet, twisting it into weapons, and pointed them at each other, almost always pulling the trigger. Post-scarcity only came to the lucky few, and even then it wasn't to last. Conflict swallowed the world whole on 2 occasions. In the first, their young were thrown at the bullets and bombs of the enemy, using new technology and old ideas. In the second, cities were leveled, farms burnt, millions rounded up and poisoned in organized slaughter. What happened then we thought was the end. We saw it happening for years, ever since their understanding of physics united matter and energy. We knew what they would build and what they would use it for. Nuclear fire wiped out 2 of their cities. What we didn't foresee was the killing to stop. Did they really grow tired of the insanity? Alas, no. Friendship turned to hatred. The world was carved into 2 blocks of ideology, both sides building bombs by the hundreds. Their transmissions made it seem they were incompatible with each other. We knew this was not true. Many species arrived at systems similar the 2 developed below. But nevertheless, they needed an excuse to kill each other, so we let them do so. Only they didn't. Years passed, proxy wars were started, and the bombs got bigger. But at the same time, computers were built, prosperity spread to more people, and members of their species walked on their moon. During all this, the missiles stayed silent. Doomsday was delayed. We kept watching. There was bound to be a point when at last someone cracked. Even as one block fell, more groups armed themselves with the bomb. More ways to start nuclear war showed themselves. Even if they didn't destroy themselves on purpose, their planet eventually would. They left no space for nature in their lives, choosing short-term profit over long-term survival. The temperatures and sea levels rose, the air was poisoned, the lakes ran dry. Soon they would find their own home uninhabitable, and they would either suffer the slow death or obliterate each other over the last resources. Of course, they believed they had one hope. We heard much talk of it. The many nations of the world collaborated on a project massive in scope. A colony ship constructed in space would take hundreds of thousands of them to the nearest star system, and they would spread their species across near space. We admired their ability to work together on this project, but it was a dead end. The schematics for their FTL drive we intercepted didn't match anything in the library. Obviously, it wasn't going to work. We could feel it. The project would fail, the nations would fall out, and war would erupt. It's a shame it would have to end like that, but what could we do? Sir, we just registered a massive spike on the EM scanners, near the third planet. I don't know what they just did, but it's huge. Wait, it happens now? After all these years without warning, no reason for escalation, they wipe themselves out now? Can you double-check that, serviceman? If you claim what I think you are claiming, and it is true, then our project is over. No, they aren't destroying themselves. This is no nuclear weapon. It's happening in orbit around the planet. Can we get an interception of their news transmissions? On the main screen, dozens of different programs, all from the test species, filled the screen. We saw not death and destruction, or the regular reports on flooding and food shortages, but cheering crowds, celebrations in the normally hopeless streets of their rundown cities. Footage of their chemical-powered rockets and space planes took precedence, cutting through a choked, poisoned sky to reach the cluttered mess of low orbit. Their fool's errand, the colony ship that would save their species, was now on most of the channels, but it looked different. It wasn't in its construction cage, now it was free-floating, on its own. No longer was it stationary and dark. Lights in massive, rotating sections of its hull were all powered on, and its engines were glowing, brighter than most stars. Audio of a member of the species was playing. Our translation programs decoded the transmission into our tongue. Good evening to all of you listening. We can report the shutters on the bridge windows have just came online and are now opening. We can see the earth below now. God, she's beautiful. She has her scars, her wounds, but she's still beautiful, just as we, with our scars and wounds, are still beautiful. I and the crew here have been talking since our launch, and we've came to agree on something. Our mission, our challenge, is to begin a new home, one so far away from the only one we've ever known. We accepted this challenge of going to another star. Our acceptance of this challenge was, in retrospect, inevitable. Our species was born explorers, traversing great plains and climbing mountain ranges to reach the fertile plateaus beyond. Would anyone else like to say something? I would, sir. Go ahead, Aaliyah. This was more than the work of the people on board, or the labors of the engineers who assembled the ship. This is more than the dreams of one ethnic or religious sect, or the efforts of a single government or nation. This is a mission for all of us, something we've been working towards for our entire existence. Anybody else? I would like to. I have spent most of my life thinking the human race was spent, that we would all be gone before my generation had children. But being a part of this project, I made me reconsider that. For all our failings, we're an amazing bunch at the end of the day, and it's an honor to have worked with some of the best. Thank you, Marcos. We're just about ready to go now. We will be around the star next door, hopefully not for too long. May we have a safe journey there and back again. Good night, good luck, and God bless all of you on the good earth. This is Captain Garland, on the behalf of ESV Unity and her crew, signing off. Sir, another spike, larger than the last. The serviceman made everyone turn their eyes away from the screen. When we look back, it's gone. No explosion, no debris, no quantum rupture. The ship is just gone. Ancestors be with us. Have they just freed themselves from their home star? without the words of the librarians to guide them. How long do we have before they reach their destination? The captain mentioned they were going to the nearest star to theirs. With our FTL, it would take a few galactic standard days to Alert. Unknown forces detected. Location, outpost number 493275. Local name, Proxima Centauri. All nearby stations on full alert. This is not a test. What have we unleashed?